I see her reflection in my rearview mirror before I see her face. A ghost stepping from the amber streetlight into the back seat of my taxi. Her hair is dark, wet from the Lisbon mist, and her hands tremble as she pulls the door shut. Alfama, she says in French, her accent carrying the softness of Lyon or perhaps Marseille. Please. Quickly. I am Mathieu Laval, and I have been driving these hills for 3 years now, ever since the war spit me back into a world I no longer recognized. Lisbon chose me as much as I chose it, a city of exiles and forgotten men, where the past dissolves in the Tagus like sugar in black coffee. Alfama is large, madam, I reply in our shared language, pulling into traffic. Where exactly? In the mirror, her eyes meet mine, green like bottle glass, hiding storms. Just drive. I'll know it when I see it. I should refuse. I should insist on an address. But something in her voice, in the way she glances over her shoulder at the receding cafe, makes me press the accelerator instead. We climb through the Baixa district in silence, past the yellow trams and the Fadu houses spilling their melancholy into the cobblestone streets. She watches the city pass, but I can tell she's not seeing it. She's seeing whatever she's running from. You're not a tourist, I say, because the silence is becoming unbearable, and because I've learned to read people in my mirror the way priests read souls in confessionals. No, she says. I'm Celeste Moreau, and I'm in trouble. I should tell her that I don't want to know. That my taxi is not a refuge, only a vehicle. But the truth spills from my mouth before I can stop it. What kind of trouble? She laughs, a sharp, bitter sound. The kind where an inspector named Beaumont has been following me from Paris to Madrid to here. The kind where I may have witnessed something I shouldn't have. The kind that ends with prison, monsieur? Mathieu, I say, though I haven't offered my name to a passenger in months. Mathieu, she repeats, and somehow it sounds different in her voice, like a word I'm hearing for the first time. Can I trust you? The word lands in my chest like shrapnel I thought I'd removed years ago. I met Marie in 1937, married her in 1938, went to war in 1939. When I returned in 1944, walking with a limp and carrying nightmares that wouldn't sleep, I found her in our apartment in Monra, wrapped in the arms of the baker from downstairs. Not just once. The letters I discovered later told the whole story. The affair had lasted years, through every letter I'd sent from the front, through every promise of homecoming. The argument was brief. The gun was Marie's, kept in the drawer by the bed. In the struggle, it went off. The baker ran. Marie didn't. They called it an accident. Self-defense. The court believed me because I was a war hero, because I was broken, because Marie's own letters condemned her. But I knew the truth. In that moment, when my finger found the trigger, I had wanted her dead. I fled France with her blood on my conscience and her betrayal carved into my soul. Trust? I buried that in Montmartre along with my wife. I don't know, I tell Celeste honestly. Can I? She looks at me then, really looks, and I wonder what she sees in the face of a 38-year-old man who drives a taxi through a foreign city because he can't bear to go home. Pull over, she says softly. Here. We're in the heart of Alfama now, the ancient Moorish quarter where the streets are too narrow for cars and secrets hide behind every tile-covered facade. I stop beneath a jacaranda tree, its purple blossoms falling like tears. Celeste doesn't get out. Instead, she leans forward, her elbows on the back of my seat. I worked for a man in Paris, she begins. A art dealer named Vauquelin. Respectable, or so I thought. I kept his books, managed his accounts. Then I found the second set of ledgers, the real ones. He wasn't just selling paintings, Mathieu. He was laundering money for men who make people disappear. I turn in my seat to face her properly. And Inspector Beaumont wants me as a witness. But Vauquelin has connections, police, judges, politicians. If I testify, I'm a dead woman. If I run, she trails off, gesturing at nothing. Here I am. Why tell me? Because, she says, and her hand reaches forward, touching my shoulder so gently I almost flinch. You look like someone who understands what it means to be haunted. She stays. Not in my taxi, but in my life. I find her a room above a tavern in Muraria, paid for with cash I've been saving for nothing in particular. She finds work washing dishes in a restaurant near the docks. We tell ourselves this is temporary, that soon she'll move on, disappear into another city, another country. But Lisbon has a way of making temporary things permanent. We meet for coffee in the mornings at a cafe overlooking the river. We walk through the Chiado in the evenings, past bookshops and churches, saying little but feeling much. She tells me about growing up in Avignon, about her father who played the violin, about dreams of studying literature in Paris that became the mundane reality of balancing ledgers. I tell her about driving through the streets before dawn, when the city is still asleep and I can pretend I'm the only person left in the world. I don't tell her about Marie. Not yet. 3 weeks pass. Then 4. I feel something cracking open in my chest, something I thought had calcified into permanent stone. When Celeste laughs at a joke I make, when her hand brushes mine as we walk, when she looks at me with those green glass eyes, I feel alive in a way I haven't since before the war. And then I see him. Inspector Beaumont is a thin man with gray hair and the patient eyes of a predator who knows his prey is cornered. I spot him at the cafe one morning, seated 3 tables away, reading a newspaper and drinking espresso with the air of a man on holiday. But he's not on holiday. When Celeste goes to the restroom, he looks up from his paper and meets my eyes. Smiles. Nods. A greeting between men who understand each other. I don't tell Celeste. Not that day. Instead, I drive my taxi with a fury I haven't felt in years, taking corners too fast, snapping at customers, returning home to my empty apartment to stare at the ceiling and wrestle with demons. The thought arrives like poison. What if she's using me? What if this, the coffee, the walks, the way she touches my arm when she talks, is all a performance? What if she's staying close to me, to my taxi, because she knows that eventually she'll need to run, and when that moment comes, I'll be her escape route? What if I'm falling in love with another woman who will betray me? I confront her on a Sunday, in the Miraduro de Santa Luzia, the viewpoint where tourists come to photograph the Tagus and locals come to remember why they stay. The city spreads below us, red-roofed and infinite. There's a police inspector watching you, I say without preamble. Beaumont. He's been in Lisbon for at least a week. Celeste goes pale. You're certain? I saw him. He wanted me to see him. I turn to face her, and I know my voice is harsh, but I can't soften it. Tell me the truth, Celeste. Are you using me? Is this, I gesture between us, is this real, or am I just your taxi driver? Your way out when the time comes? She takes a step back as if I've struck her. Matthew. I've been betrayed before, I say, and now the words are coming like a flood I can't control. My wife. During the war. When I came home, she was with another man. We fought. There was a gun. She died. It was ruled an accident, self-defense, but the truth is I don't know anymore what I intended in that moment. I don't know if I killed her or if fate did. But I know she destroyed my ability to trust, and I swore I'd never let anyone do that again. The confession hangs between us like smoke. Celeste's eyes are wet, but she doesn't cry. I'm sorry, she whispers. I'm so sorry that happened to you. That's not what I need to hear, I say. I need to know if you're using me. If when Beaumont gets close, you'll ask me to drive you out of Lisbon, and then you'll disappear, and I'll be left wondering again if anything was real. She reaches for my hand, but I pull away. I could leave now, she says quietly. Tonight. There are boats to Morocco, trains to Spain. I don't need you to escape, Matthew. I never did. Then why stay? Because, she says, and her voice breaks, somewhere between that first taxi ride and this moment, I fell in love with you. Not with the idea of you, not with what you could do for me, but with the man who sees ghosts in his rearview mirror and still chooses to drive through the darkness. With the man who saved me when he didn't have to. With you. I want to believe her. God, how I want to believe her. But Marie's ghost stands between us, whispering doubts. Words, I say. Just words. How do I know you mean them? Celeste is silent for a long moment, looking out over the city. When she speaks again, her voice is steady, resolved. I can prove it, she says. I can turn myself into Inspector Beaumont, testify against Vauquelin, take my chances with French justice and Vauquelin's connections and everything that comes after. If I do that, if I give up my freedom, my safety, my life as I know it, will you believe that I love you? Celeste, no. It's the only way, she insists. You can't trust my words because someone else's words proved false. So let me show you with actions. Let me choose you by giving up everything else. I spend that night walking the streets of Lisbon, climbing up to the castle and down to the river, trying to outpace my thoughts. But they follow me like hungry dogs. If she turns herself in, she could die. Vauquelin's reach is long, and prisons are dangerous places for witnesses. If she runs, she'll live, but I'll never know if she loved me or loved the idea of escape. And what right do I have to ask this of her? To demand such proof? What kind of love requires someone to sacrifice everything to prove its existence? By dawn, I know what I have to do. I find her in the tavern, already packing her few belongings into a canvas bag. She looks up when I enter, and I see in her eyes that she's made her decision. I'm going to Beaumont, she says. Today. Before I lose my courage. No, I say. She blinks. Matthew, we agreed. We agreed to nothing. I made a demand born from old wounds, and you offered a sacrifice I have no right to accept. I cross the room, take her hands in mine. I was wrong. Not about my fear, that's real. Not about my past, that happened. But I was wrong to ask you to prove your love by destroying your life. Then what do we do? She asks. How do we move forward? I choose to trust you, I say simply. Not because you've proven anything, but because love without trust isn't love at all. It's just fear wearing a prettier mask. Tears spill down her cheeks. And if your fear is right, if I betray you, then I'll be hurt again, and I'll survive again, because I've done it before. But if I let fear stop me from loving you, I betray myself, and I kill whatever goodness that woman's betrayal didn't already destroy. I pull her close, feeling her heartbeat against my chest. I choose you, Celeste. Not the proof of you. Just you. She's crying freely now, holding me as if I might disappear. I love you, she says. I swear to you, Matthew, I love you. I believe you, I whisper, and I mean it. We leave Lisbon that afternoon in my taxi, heading north toward Porto. It's not running away, not exactly. It's choosing a life together rather than lives apart, choosing forward motion over paralysis. Inspector Beaumont will keep looking. Vauquelin's associates will keep hunting. The rest, mine and hers, will keep whispering. But we'll face it together, two wounded people who chose to believe in something better than their scars. As the city disappears in my rearview mirror, Celeste reaches forward from the back seat and touches my shoulder, and I remember that first night, that first passenger, that first moment of connection. Where are we going? She asks. I smile, watching the road unfold before us, lined with possibilities and hope. I'll know it when I see it, I tell her. And for the first time in years, I believe that's true. Sometimes love demands proof. Sometimes it demands faith. And sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is choose trust even when every scar warns us not to, because the alternative is to let our ghosts drive while we simply sit in the back, passengers in our own lives, going nowhere at all.